Greetings from MIT OpenCourseWare Centric Wiki World University and School and our WUAS weekly business meeting, WUAS news and question and answer on Monday, August 4th, 2025 at 10 a.m. Pacific time. I think it's 10:30 p.m. India time, and I think it may be 1 p.m. or 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. Hong Kong time the next day, Tuesday. And with an invitation to join this WUAS news and question and answer, this WUAS open weekly business meeting. So as we wait to see if people will join us today in this Zoom video conference, I'd like to share a little news with you. Dear Universitians, friends, B.R. Sitaram in Gujarat, India, Derek Chen in Berkeley, Jingming in China, all greetings from MIT OCW Centric Wiki Grow with Google WUAS World University and School. I just noticed that, however, Creative Commons licensed MIT OpenCourseware's courses in 7 languages are no longer accessible at the openocw.aprende website. So free MIT OCW centric Wiki Grow with Google WUAS World University and School may have to proceed without them and translate or similar ocw.mit.edu in English more than 2,500 courses, both undergraduate and graduate, into all 200 countries, main languages, and for free online WUAS degrees from home therein, and with AI and ML and large language models, and with WUAS also in Wikidata, in 342 active Wikimedia languages. And they should be able to help too. So possibly from these Wikidata Q item URLs and with time. So MIT OCW Centric Wiki World University and School is now holding the WUAS weekly business meeting, WUAS news and question and answer on Mondays at 10 a.m. Pacific time. Zoom recently asked WUAS if WUAS wanted to add people regarding or add people registering for these open WUAS conversations. And I replied, no, wanting to keep the hassle factor of joining the open WUAS news and Q&As to a minimum. As a friendly, unprogrammed Quaker, non-theist friend, non-theist Quaker, leading or calling to create free universal education with free to students MIT OCW-centric World University and School WUAS degrees in all 200 countries and in their main languages, and free wiki schools for people-to-people wiki teaching and wiki learning in all 7,159 known living languages. WUAS monthly business meeting is becoming WUAS weekly business meeting, WUAS news and question and answer on 10 a.m. Mondays at Pacific time. This friendly business meeting, loosely in the manner of unprogrammed Quakers, is what is guiding the growth of free MIT OCW-centric Wiki World University and School in so many ways. And with an invitation to join this open conversation on Mondays at 10 a.m. Pacific time, or come into conversation with WUAS on social media, for example. The next, so this WUAS monthly business meeting is meeting in some of this month of August, a time when many universities are less active than the rest of the year. But this is a way to keep World University and School growing as we seek to accredit, potentially with Middle States Commission on Higher Education, and just got an email response from Middle States Commission on Education. The person we had been communicating with for about 2 or 3 years now, Connie Clifton at Middle States Commission on Higher Education's email response said she's no longer working with Middle States Commission on Higher Education. And her email response also gave me the name of potentially a new contact for World University and School, Ryan Hartnett at Middle States Commission on Higher Education. We've also been in touch over these 2 or 3 years with Heather Perfetti, who I think is the lead, the head of Middle States Commission on Higher Education. So I'm hoping to reach out further to them in new ways regarding World University and School beginning to accredit potentially, and regarding also whether in the information age and with online MIT OCW centric wiki World University and School seeking to accredit as a university, there might be ways to accredit at Middle States Commission on Higher Education in an incremental process, such that we might be able to begin accreditation and say we're provisionally accredited as we matriculate our first class of, for example, undergraduate students online, in Zoom, in a realistic virtual Earth, and from all 200 countries in the world, first in English. And this is something that perhaps World University and School can explore further with Middle States Commission on Higher Education. So free MIT OCW centric wiki World University and School is also growing with Grow with Google WUS for free to students online WS educational degrees, bachelor, PhD, law, MD, IB high school, similar AAAS, and master's degrees, first in English, then in each of all 200 countries and in their main languages. And see Peter Norvig's incredible Tulify AI WUS article, Revolutionizing Education with Machine Learning and AI, World University and School, updated March 2nd, 2024, in the tulify.ai URL. And to this end, I also just received this morning Google for Education email saying their upcoming series of talks, I think this autumn, was happening in September, I think beginning then. And perhaps that will be a way forward for World University and School and in being in a Grow with Google WUS program. And see also both wings of WUS with amazing potential synergies between them. One, the 501c3 tax-exempt MIT OCW-centric Wiki World University and School wing at worlduniversityandschool.org, and especially its listing in Candid GuideStar, which is affiliated with the IRS at guidestar.org/profile 27-1-310-5368, I think. And secondly, the for-profit general stock company, WUS Corporation. It's a legal entity in California and is growing around the academic press at WUAS, and that URL is worlduniversityandschool.org/academicpress.html. And see also there further our state of California legal entity information and tax ID number at the bottom. And also for educational services stores, both physical and digital, and potentially also encoding for most of 7.9 billion people on the planet, and regarding our Stanford Mind Pi cryptocurrency free money daily partnering email. And as both wings of WUS grow and are seeking also to code for 7.9 billion people on the planet, from you at World University, that wiki page, and to both end poverty, for example, with Stanford MindPi cryptocurrency, with an invitation to code to you here at mindpi.com/SGKMAC to get free money daily, simply by mining it every 24 hours, clicking on 2 buttons, taking less than 5 seconds, and to create free universal education in each of all 200 countries with free WS degrees from home in the nation states wiki subject page. So for students in all 200 countries in their main and official languages. And as WS seeks to code for speakers of all 7,159 known living languages from the languages wiki subject page, and also to create wiki WUS subjects in each of these languages. So wiki schools in these languages where you can wiki teach and wiki learn. And from there to code for most of all 8 billion people on the planet from the 7,000 speakers of 7,159 known living languages in 200 countries. So all the best. Abolitionally, MIT OCW centric wiki world university and school WUS abolition movement is growing. Friendly NTF, NDQ, non-theist Quaker greetings, Scott. So the recording of today's WUS news and question and answer will be posted on our main current World University and School YouTube channel, youtube.com/Scott McLeod World University /videos. And let me just check to see if anyone is seeking to join us with questions or answers before we proceed to the first wing of World University and School, the first of 2 wings, the 501c3 or similar CC4 licensed OCW MIT.edu centric wiki World University and School wing. So I'm not seeing anyone seeking to join us just yet. I'm in right now Dublin, California, just east of the San Francisco Bay Area, and heading across the country to Southeast Massachusetts, wearing my tie-dye baseball cap today for connecting perhaps with tie-dye culture or hippie culture that emerges from the 60s and 70s in the US and around the world. And as the president and CEO and a professor at and founder of and presiding clerk of World University and School. So I'm not seeing anyone seeking to join us at this time. So the first of 2 WUS wings, World University and School. Agenda item 0, the recording of last Monday's, July 28, 2025, WUS News and Question and Answer, WUS Weekly Business Meeting is posted. Check it out. It's, I think, around 50 minutes long. I'm not sure how AI and machine learning process such videos or add them to databases or code sources as possibly the audio is transcribed to text that would thus inform further knowledge in AI and machine learning. For example, in Gemini, conversational generative artificial intelligence, or in ChatGPT or Microsoft's Copilot. But I suspect that such audio transcripts do become part of databases and code sources for conversational generative artificial intelligence. So engage there with last week's weekly business meeting as well. Ask Gemini AI, for example, or ChatGPT, what happened in last week's monthly business meeting or weekly business meeting, WS News and Question and Answer on July 28th, 2025, and see what it says. In summary, I haven't done this yet, but it's something I will seek to do at the end of this WS weekly business meeting on 8/4/25. So last week's weekly business meeting included a focus on Kaiser Permanente and WUAS and germline and editing and a realistic virtual earth, and for hashtag for aging reversal and another hashtag for germline editing ? And much else. Check out the Twitter and LinkedIn series of posts as well. Agenda item 1, a free open online SFSU with WUAS. That's a hashtag on Twitter. Hashtag FSSU with WUAS. San Francisco State University with World University and School. Hashtag robotics with programming club. And for hashtag WUAS home robotics. Hashtag WUAS Lego robotics. Beginning this autumn, 2025, potentially with hashtag Lego Spike Prime robotics kits and hashtag Scratch programming language, hashtag play learn, hashtag WUAS play. So I'm seeking to create, and possibly with a San Francisco State University student, Aiden, whom I've met in a cafe, who's a marine science major, Lego robotics with Scratch programming club for playing, potentially online. Aiden might do so in the physical classroom too at San Francisco State University in the southwest part of San Francisco. I'm hoping to facilitate it perhaps with Aiden in perhaps a Zoom video conference, and for anyone to join. This would involve you getting a Lego robotics kit. The current main one is Lego Spike Prime robotics kit, and perhaps coming together maybe on a Thursday evening from 5:30 to 7 p.m. Pacific time for an hour and a half of playing with Lego robotics with programming. It might involve, at first, for a little structure around this play, 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or more people, all in their homes and maybe some in a San Francisco State classroom, each with their own Lego robotics kit of Spike Prime, working through the Lego Spike Prime robotics kit tutorial, just one session each time, and talking about it as each person builds a robot with the Lego robotics kit, and potentially with the Lego block programming language for the Lego Spike Prime robotics kits. And then eventually working through more tutorials in the Spike Prime robotics kit, integrating Scratch programming. And it might meet weekly, maybe on a Tuesday from 5:30 to 7 p.m. If there were people interested in joining from beyond the San Francisco Bay Area in this plays time that's social and potentially with conversation as we build robots, initially creating robots from the Spike Prime tutorial, perhaps this would create new ideas for creative robot building, and also with Scratch programming for creative programming with robotics building. An interesting possibility for play, conversation, almost a conversational generative artificial intelligence opportunity, but between people. So as we were all building a tutorial at first session robot and coding it with Spike Prime Robotics kit block language, and later with Scratch programming visual block language. Perhaps our conversation in the Zoom video conference or similar would lead to new innovations. Perhaps we'd start building robots and further learning programming outside of the Tuesday from 5:30 to 7 or Thursday from 5:30 to 7 p.m. Pacific time in new ways. I created a set of tweets and LinkedIn posts with that and retweeted how will prospective matriculating students be able to play into World Univ and SCH. And for example, with hashtag Lego Robotics and hashtag WUS Home Robotics, in lieu of applying to World University and School, and hashtag Play Learn throughout their hashtag free WUAS degrees, not only Bachelor AA, IB or similar, but also for MD, Law, and PhD, WUAS Play. And this Twitter post retweets a picture from the Edinburgh Quaker meeting in Scotland of someone or some people creating out of Lego bricks a Quaker meeting in Lego bricks with people doing all kinds of different things. Some two are dancing, some seem to be sitting in silence. And in what ways could we do this also similarly in a club, a play group for learning Lego robotics and how to build them, robots, with the Scratch programming language, but also potentially for matriculating into by playing MIT OCW centric World University and School, and as we accredit further. So could Aiden, for example, in possibly setting up a San Francisco State University Lego robotics with programming club, a real feather potentially in his cap, also be able to play into free MIT OCW centric Wiki World University and School for a master's degree after he finishes his bachelor's degree at San Francisco State? Or could he teach Lego robotics and Scratch programming as an undergraduate student to matriculating World University and School students from around the world in the upcoming months and years? Is a possible career stepping stone even to be seen. So an email to Aiden. Dear Aiden, nice to talk with you just now in the cafe. Brainstorming is a possible beginning to the online Lego robotics club with programming. I asked the following 3 questions in the PSs, postscripts, and got great responses from Gemini AI. And regarding both San Francisco State and MIT OCW centric Wiki World University and School, and see the PPPS as a start. Read on in the 2 blog posts from today for this WUAS news and question and answer on Monday, August 4th, 2025, in the Valley of the Flowers National Park, Garhwal, Uttarakhand, India, blog post from today in World University and School.blogspot.com's blog and scott-mccloud.blogspot.com's blog. Agenda item 2, how best at ocw.mit.edu centric Wiki World Univ and SCH at WUS Press to grow an incredible scientific culture. And I asked this in a couple of blog posts this past week, one about Scotland World University and School, and one about the Gujarati language World University and School in Gujarat, India, the west coast of India. How to grow a scientific culture at World University and School online in Zoom video, for example, or other Google Meet video, for example. So a set of tweets in these regards. How best at ocw.mit.edu centric wiki world univent schwus press to grow an incredible hashtag scientific culture, and in all 200 countries, hashtag WUS UNIVS, and in their main languages, newly in a hashtag realistic virtual earth for STEM and hashtag for science. So with hashtag AI and ML, hashtag LLMs, WUAS, large language models at World University and School, and hashtag wiki makey makey too. So the wiki aspect of you being able to teach to World University and School, or edit or curate or add, is much like a kind of makey approach to hands-on building of things that is a very interesting, stimulating way to learn, often very different from the learn from books, for example, or learn from text approach, which informs much of university education in many ways still in the world today. Perhaps it makey reflects a kind of MIT motto, mens et manus, hand in mind, mind in hand. The makey being hand learning, engineering aspect. And as World University and School also, in seeking to grow a scientific culture, and in Scotland World University and School, in English and potentially, if helpful, in Scottish Gaelic, first in English for Scots in Scotland and around the world for free degrees. How to do this, perhaps with the model of even the course I was a global listener in this spring, the MIT and Harvard course, How to Grow Almost Anything, synthetic biology course, where George Church was a professor and David Sun Kong was the lead professor, and where there were registered MIT and Harvard students with those universities' scientific culture, perhaps informing their studying toward this in this 4-credit class as Harvard and MIT registered students. Potentially, could World University and School matriculated students take this course with its scientific culture as committed listeners, say in 2026, and online from home, and have a laboratory experimental course that they could get WUS credit for as well. And with that scientific culture as of that How to Grow Almost Anything synthetic biology online laboratory course, informing World University and School's scientific culture, and potentially Scotland World University and School, if there were some Scottish students taking that How to Grow Almost Anything synthetic biology course in 2026 from Scotland for a Scotland WUAS free, say, bachelor degree. Stay tuned. Agenda item 3, how best at World Univ and SCH and with the hashtag WUS Academic Press at WUSPRESS, both in Twitter, X, to de-extinct languages at WUS. So some languages have gone extinct in the world in recent years and decades. The Cromarty dialect of Scotland, Northeast Scotland, is one of those. 2 brothers died in the past 10 or 20 years, and with them went the Cromarty dialect language. In what ways could World University and School, possibly by building out large language models, possibly by collaborating with scholars in Scotland, for example, of the Cromarty dialect language from Northeast Scotland with online technologies, with AI and machine learning, help de-extinct this language such that speakers could, we could create speakers, human speakers of the Cromarty dialect, for example, and potentially in online communities, and perhaps even create online kind of Cromarty dialect life, thanks to group video meetings, as well as even a realistic virtual earth for languages. So in these regards, how best at World Univ and SEH and with the WS Academic Press to de-extinct languages and revive also smallest languages of all 7,159 known living languages, such as the Scots language or Scottish Gaelic, and with AI and machine learning, large languages models, and grow flourishing and connecting communities of speakers. Sanskrit, which is a scheduled language, one of 22 scheduled languages in India, is by some considered extinct, but it's not. I think it's still spoken for religious purposes, for example, in India. In what ways could we grow Sanskrit at World University and School? Maybe as a small language, maybe as an extinct language, and maybe for helping to code these large language models and AI and machine learning, and with some extant speakers, so that World University and School could learn, potentially how to grow a language, revive a language, de-extinct a language. Could we even add scientific culture to a Sanskrit language, large language model with communities of speakers, in addition to building on how Sanskrit may be still a small living language today in India, or not so small. I think there would be much learning going on about Sanskrit as a language that either we could de-extinct or revive or build and grow flourishing communities further of, and perhaps with a scientific culture, which might be something brand new for the Sanskrit language, even in Sanskrit. I'm going to reached out recently, agenda item 4, to Ian Ross McDougall, a Stanford emeritus medical professor, medical doctor from Scotland originally, a radiologist who worked with imaging much in his radiology practice at Stanford Medicine, and about growing Scotland World University and School, and potentially for Scots, and even for careers for Scottish people, for example, and perhaps in the Scotland Medical School, World University and School. And could Scots in Scotland even help build out the medical school, Scotland Medical School, even brainstorming in the back of Toyota ambulance vans, and even help create and build possibly Toyota humanoid robot, medical doctors and professors of surgery and other medical subspecialties or specialties. An interesting possibility for Scotland World University and School. Read the agenda item further in today's 8-4 WS News and Question and Answer. Could Ian Ross McDougall, also with his radiology expertise and knowledge, imaging, help create ways to, and for Scots and in Scotland, and for Scottish medical students, learning from even Toyota ambulance vans as medical schools, perhaps in low resource countries, to help add imaging techniques for diagnosis to a Toyota ambulance van that could then be streamed into electronic health records of patients and their more avatar agent electronic health records. Stay tuned. Agenda item 5, I think. I also, in this communication with Ian Ross McDougall, MD, in around Stanford University, wonder whether with the big ugly bill from, or the big beautiful bill from the current regime in Washington, D.C., which I think knocked 17 million people off healthcare insurance. Elizabeth Warren tweets about this. Wonder how World University and School could provide this healthcare via telemedicine, possibly with application to Scotland World University and School too. Agenda item 5, a new Gujarati language wiki school, wiki university, wiki subject page, which is planned in Gujarati. And this is coming in communication with B.R. Sitaram in Gujarat, India, who has started an organization called Zeal Educational Trust, which is building out AI and machine learning applications right now to help teachers, for example, structure their lessons plans, and which teachers could then use in using the Zeal app, for example, one called Guru Mitra application, to then ask questions of Gemini or ChatGPT artificial intelligences, what prompts they might have gleaned or learned in working with the Zeal Educational Trust Guru Mitra app. Fascinating. Good to be in communication with B.R. Sitaram, and perhaps with him, World University and School can build out the Gujarat language World University and School for free MIT OCW centric World University and School degrees in the Gujarati language. Been in communication with Dr. Vishal Varia as well of Google Educator Groups Ahmedabad, and a lead in all of Google Educator Groups India as well. And wonder whether they might help, whether B.R. Sitaram, who has a PhD in applied math and physics from Delhi University from the 1970s and I think through 81 or so, whether they could, whether B.R. Sitaram could possibly become the president of Gujarat Language World University and School in the Gujarati language for something like 46 to 62 million people, speakers of Gujarati language. And then also, could they help find presidents of all 22 scheduled languages for World University and Schools universities in these languages in India for speakers of these languages? Hoping to proceed further with this in many ways, and with Google being with World University and School being in a Grow with Google WUS program. Agenda item 6, China World University and Schools, and regarding the China WUS educational services stores there in Chinese language in the future, and as the Chinese firewall landscape develops. In Berkeley yesterday at the Strata Cafe across from the UC Berkeley campus, I met Derek Chen, who was talking about a software application that his friend and I think colleague was showing to someone else in this cafe. World University, I was interested in exploring what they were doing, what kind of coding they were offering, and found that Derek Chen speaks the Mandarin Chinese language as well as perfect English, and also knows Python programming language. Could they help build out WUS China World University and School, and particularly the Chinese educational services stores at World University and School, both physical and digital? Hoping to explore this further. This was after coming into communication, item 6A, with Jing Ming, whom I met in Monterey, California this January, who was part of the Tourism Studies Working Group at UC Berkeley in the anthropology department as well, which I've given 5 talks on. And she emailed me in response to a WS News and question and answer email saying she's now in China and can't access any links that I email in the WS News and question and answer. Interesting set of opportunities for World University and School. How to make our free online degrees available in Chinese, building on MIT OCW for Chinese people and for some of all 1.4 billion people in their homes in China, and navigating the Chinese firewall, for example, further. See Jingming's emails in today's WS News and question and answer, beginning with Valley of Flowers National Park, Garhwal, Uttarakhand, India. Check it out. Jingming writes a second email. Thank you very much for your reply, and you know my Chinese name. I understand the situation you mentioned. I reached out to her and May Getchlik, who was the director of the Stanford Guiding Cases Project, which translated Chinese Supreme Court cases over about 10 years, about 5 to 10 years ago, into English, and then gave comment back as they translated these courses further from English back into Chinese to the Chinese Supreme Court justices and related people in China, so that China got a legal system going that was potentially helpful for parties involved in navigating China, for example, business-wise or otherwise. In emailing Jingming in response, I asked whether May Getchlik could help open, for example, possible World University and School links in China, possibly in conversation with the Chinese Supreme Court. Stay tuned. Agenda item 7. So a further artificial general intelligence question from Saturday, August 2nd, 2025, in a blog post beginning Marigold-Genda, Marigold-Genda, in my blog, scott-mccloud.blogspot.com, and regarding this question: how to infuse artificial general intelligence into MIT OCW centric Wiki World University and School, planned in 200 countries and in each of all 7,159 known living languages. And Gemini AI replies in great ways in these regards, suggesting people can develop personalized learning trajectories, for example. Well, check out these responses in that blog post. Agenda item 8, a realistic virtual Earth for aging reversal further. In August 2025 in Canyon, California, 94516, to generate just a possible single pharmaceutical drug. Could we design a realistic virtual Earth to have an output and regarding aging reversal of one pharmaceutical? And could Byron Hahn, MD, PhD, a friend of mine from Reed College in the first half of the 1980s, be the principal investigator and initial WUAS director of research? But with the current changes in the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration in Washington, D.C., where Vinay Prasad might have been very useful with his knowledge of drug approval processes for vaccines and similar, with possibly less expertise coming in now. Might it be more sensible to, or in a parallel path, to create a realistic virtual Earth for genetics and for aging reversal with, say, Google Street View with time slider, and at the cellular view level and the molecular view level, and see if we could connect our avatar agent electronic health records to our bodies in Google Street View with time slider for aging reversal, which would be a very different process than generating a drug from a realistic virtual Earth that would help with aging reversal. Check out the resources here in this blog post also, which is marigold-genda in my blog from August 2025. Agenda item 9. Happy birthday, Henry Robb, perhaps my oldest friend from the Brookline, Boston, Massachusetts area, from when I was a 3-year-old, I think, or a 2-year-old. And regarding his birthday at the end of July. So brainstorming, I wished him happy birthday and wondered whether with aging reversal and extreme longevity drug therapies emerging, FDA approved, and see George Church's A Cure for Aging by 2050 video with Dwarkesh Patel, the interviewer, the podcaster. Perhaps we can all be celebrating your birthday, Henry, together in person in 100 years. So in the year 2125, with when typically he and I would or should be dead by that, well before then. So could we even celebrate his birthday in the year 2125, when I'd be 164 years old and he'd, I think, be 163 years old, and even on Cuttyhunk Island, Massachusetts, and with lots of music, perhaps played by the graduates of MIT OCW Centric Wiki World University and Schools online Wiki WUS Music School, which you can access right now in its beginning form, and Wiki Teach or Wiki Learn from, and see if there's an MIT OpenCourseWare course, or add other courses you might find there, and potentially in the future jump into from there a real-time music making group video or realistic virtual Earth music making opportunity, thanks to quasi real-time or possibly quantum computing, from your home and with someone, for example, halfway around the world home, thanks to improvements in speed of information transmission, internet speeds with broadband speed. And regarding, for example, the violin wiki school, wiki subject at World University and School. Henry plays the violin quite well, and perhaps he could even wiki teach or wiki learn, or teach there, for example, if he were interested. And in 100 years, when he might be 163 years old. Check out the agenda item in these regards with World University and Schools Music School. And the agenda and the blog post is Red Hibiscus Japa. Many of these blog posts this week are of flowers from India that were around in the Bhagavad Gita's time, 400 before the Common Era, about 400 years ago, when the Bhagavad Gita was written, codified, and may have been used also in beautiful Indian religious ceremonies and celebrations and temples and similar. Agenda item 10. So what are the key issues ahead from the philosopher of minds, David Chalmers' perspective and regarding consciousness or the mind-body problem? And even with a hashtag realistic virtual earth for consciousness, and potentially regarding also at hashtag heart consciousness church, Harbin Hot Springs at Harbin Book. I asked this of Gemini AI, and it said, according to David Chalmers, the hard problem of consciousness is the key issue. It asks why physical processes give rise to subjective experience. Information technologies complicate this by raising questions about whether artificial intelligence can become conscious, the nature of consciousness in a virtual world, and whether our minds could enter into a digital reality. So let's explore this further, potentially in a realistic virtual earth for consciousness. How does biology give rise to subjective experience, awareness, sentience, feeling? Why? Also, evolutionary biologically. Interesting questions. Agenda item 11. Next WS News and Question and Answer is on Monday, August 11th, 2025. I should be holding this from Cuttyhunk Island, Massachusetts, probably at 10 a.m. Eastern time, Pacific time, 1 p.m. Eastern time. Stay tuned. Agenda item 12, regarding a Read College Plus proposed book group this autumn 2025, potentially in Canyon 94516. And might we be reading The Inner Game of Tennis, 1974, written by a Harvard student or alum at the time, Timothy Galway, which is partly about the yoga of tennis and a sort of philosophy that emerges from yoga thinking regarding the competitive sport of tennis, interestingly, and which I think the virtuosic pipe major Stuart Little in Scotland, in Inverary, Scotland, I think recommended to me, and perhaps which informs his virtuosic piping. Did he learn from The Inner Game of Tennis how to focus his mind and his piping and release and free himself to become a world-class virtuosic, in particular light music, Cale Biag piper, Cale Bag. I shared this with a bunch of Reed College friends from the first half of the 1980s recently, and regarding also World University and School seeking to grow an abolition movement and knock back even international organized crime, which when international organized crime is in a potentially somehow affiliated, sadly, I think with uniformed armed services in possibly many countries, it becomes more easy to define it as international crime, but potentially also to explore abolishing international organized crime. Hopefully, read the agenda item 12 to learn more. So as World University and School seeks to grow an abolition movement to help protect people worldwide. Perhaps The Inner Game of Tennis will be a book that the proposed Reedy Plus book group in the San Francisco Bay Area reads together this autumn or in the upcoming year. Signing off with a number of blog labels, Reed College blog label in my personal blog, a yoga blog label, and regarding non-harming and consciousness, and Consciousness blog label, and Friends with a capital S blog label, and Non-Theist Friend blog label, and Quakers and Quaker and Unitarian Universalists regarding Quakers and Unitarians' involvement in abolition historically in the US in the 17 and 1800s, especially, for example. So moving on to the second wing of World University and School, the WUS Corporation, the second of two WUS wings, a for-profit general stock company legal entity in the state of California, planned in 7,159 known living languages with machine translation, and the academicpress.html at worlduniversityandschool.org is the current beginning main page for this. 3 agenda items. Came into conversation with the Massachusetts governor, Maura Healey, regarding a Twitter post she shared, which reads, "Big news, I'm announcing the DRIVE initiative, DRIVE, standing for Discovery, Research, and Innovation for a Vibrant Economy. It's a $400 million investment in world-changing research and the tens of thousands of jobs it creates. Let's keep Massachusetts the #1 state for innovation." And the Twitter X post is from the Mass governor. And in retweeting this, I observed that World University and School and the WUS Corporation in particular, seeking to hire 2.5 million people over the next 50 to 100 years and become innovative, growing out of MIT OCW. So the set of Twitter posts and LinkedIn posts reads, "Thanks, #Gov Healy, 1, startup ocw.mit.edu centric wiki at World Univ and SCH, a 501c3 nonprofit federal legal entity, is planning major online research universities in 200 countries in main languages, with, secondly, the WS Press in 7,000 languages, and the WUS stores, WS Educational Services stores in all 200 countries, think Walmart, and the WS Corp in California, a legal entity, and which seek to hire 2.5 million people in the next 50 years. How to do so in Massachusetts? How can World University and School grow to help innovation thrive and to drive innovation in Massachusetts, for example, but across the US, across the world too? Agenda item B. So build out the first WUAS educational services store with academic press in all 7,159 known living languages. From this Google Maps URL of Bancroft Way in Berkeley, which and the Collegiate Bookstore, the Collegiate Way store there. And so could we design, lease, build, and open for retail virtually first a bookstore, computer store, robotics store, academic press on virtual Bancroft Way in Berkeley, across from the UC Berkeley campus, in Google Street View, where we would potentially be able to print virtual books on paper in the back, even eventually in the physical WS Educational Services store on Bancroft Way in Berkeley, but also possibly from home, that we print from our printer academic books in any of 7,000 languages, and for also outreach to the UC Berkeley campus, to UC Berkeley graduates to matriculate for free WUAS degrees. And see the blog posts in both blogs, worlduniversityandschool.blogspot.com and scott-mccloud.blogspot.com. Beginning Oak Bay Woodlands, Oak Bay Woodlands, a flagship WUS bookstore, robotics store with WUS Academic Press, publishing house on Bancroft Way in Berkeley, across from the Cal UC Berkeley campus. And for outreach to Cal graduates, for free MIT OCW-centric World University and School degrees, bachelor, PhD, law, MD, IB, high school, or similar AA, AS, and master's degrees in collaboration with TAP, the Acceleration Project, with JP Morgan Chase Bank, with operations in about 100 of 200 countries. How best to plan for even deliveries from MIT OCW-centric Wiki World University and School, potentially in other countries too, and with Toyota Sienna vans, and even with WUS humanoid robots as drivers initially. Check out both blog posts from July of 2025, beginning Oak Bay Woodlands in World University and School.blogspot.com and scott-mccloud.blogspot.com's blogs. Agenda item C on the WS Corporation wing. 2 sets of Twitter posts about the Toyota THR3 robot, humanoid robot. What's happening with it now? Where is it in development? Having not heard about it for some years. I asked Gemini AI about this, which replied very, very helpfully and fascinatingly. Check out the posts. It's being developed with in the Frontier Research Center and with also a Boston Dynamics partnership and in the Woven City in Japan as Toyota builds out humanoid robots. How could World University and School work with this for our WS Educational Services stores to create MD professors of surgery in all 200 countries and in their main languages? But further, regarding consciousness even, or mind-body questions and even robotics, how could I ask Gemini Robotics about possibly somehow adding consciousness or awareness or sentience to Toyota humanoid robots, and got back some fascinating replies as well further from Gemini Conversational Generative Artificial Intelligence. And this is something that would make fascinating research for philosophers of mind, as well as roboticists. And it's something World University and School might especially seek to facilitate in a realistic virtual Earth. #4robotics and #4consciousness. And think in Google Street View with Time Slider, maps Earth. Lots of exciting research ahead in these regards. Both sets of tweets retweet different images of the Toyota humanoid robot THR3. Check those out. So that's the WS news and question and answer today. Monday, August 4th, 2025. I'm Scott McCloud. And if you have questions or know of potential students who might be interested in matriculating at World University and School for free online degrees from home, first in English, then in all 200 countries' main languages, send me an email at president@worlduniversityandschool.org. And as World University and School seeks to proceed with accreditation and grow our, accredit our university and thereby become potentially very useful for students who might want to transfer the credits or apply to graduate school because we're accredited. Our degrees we will offer will be accredited from an accredited university as we seek to become the Harvard and MIT and Stanford and Oxbridge of the internet even. So until next Monday, August 11th, 2025, greetings from the San Francisco Bay Area as I begin a long 3 or 4 day trip cross country to the Eastern Seaboard to Southeast Massachusetts and back again to the San Francisco Bay Area in about 3 weeks. worlduniversityandschool.org is our beginning homepage. I'll post the recording of this to both blogs and to our main YouTube channel for World University and School, youtube.com/Scott McCloud World University, as well as to both main Twitters, twitter.com/World Univ and SCH, and Twitter x.com/WUAS Press. Until next week, looking forward to further conversation in a variety of ways, online, via email. If you'd like to join the email list, let me know as well. Until next time, bye for now.